Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is Todd from sittingposture.com. Welcome to today's video, Computer Posture Mistakes and Fixes, episode 23. Let's take a look here. Even though this diagram has people standing, this is a great way to take a look at what the spine does when we sit, because a lot of these problems start when we're sitting, and then when we go to stand up, when we sit for 8 hours a day or 40 hours a week, causing these problems, then we're standing up the rest of the evening and we're still having these problems. So this is a nice normal natural curves going throughout the spine, slight curve in the lumbar, which is good. And then you can see it curves out a little bit here in the thoracic and then into the cervical. This is a good neutral position here. Lordosis is when the lower back, the lumbar curve is too much lumbar curve. So it actually goes towards the front of the body too much. Kyphosis is very, very common, probably the most common when it comes to computer posture, because we're always grabbing a keyboard, grabbing a mouse, we're always hunching forward due to stress or bad posture, bad ergonomic setup, bad incorrect seat height, incorrect desk height, all kinds of things. So kyphosis, we all know about that. Looking at a phone for too long can also cause that slouching forward in the upper back, the rounding of the shoulders, and also internal shoulder rotation, which I talked about last week, but we won't get into that today. So flat back is exactly what it sounds like. It's a flat back. You'll notice there's no lumbar curve here. If you go all the way to the left and look at the picture here, you got that slight lumbar curve here, and then you got a little bit of curvature going out in the thoracic spine. Flat back is just straight up and down. So when people say sit up straight, that's really not great advice. What they need to say is sit balanced, sit with a neutral spine, because when you sit straight, you could end up with flat back or overextension like lordosis. And sway back, I actually don't know too much about sway back. I think it's a little bit of both. It's actually got like a little bit too much lumbar curve and a little bit of too much rounding forward, rounding of the shoulders and slouching forward. That's what that looks like. That is a little bit of both going on right there. And scoliosis has to do with, side to side of the spine going side to side, not straight up and down, usually caused by turning. In our case, sitting at a computer, by turning, like say if we're sitting straight forward at the desk, but the keyboard is off to the side just a little bit, then the mouse is off to another side, and then the monitor might be off to another side. I like to keep all that in as straight line as possible. I like to keep everything symmetrical as possible to avoid scoliosis. Not only scoliosis, but if you've got your keyboard off to the left a little bit and your monitor off to the left a little bit, that's going to cause a lot of muscle imbalances. It's going to cause a lot of tension on the left side of your body. Muscles are contracting to turn yourself to the left side of the body. On the right side of the body, muscles are overextending in order to turn yourself to the left. So it creates a lot of muscle confusion. And just I like to avoid it as much as possible. So I like to stay as symmetrical as possible from side to side laterally when using a computer. Let's look at an example of disc degeneration. So all of these, except for the normal, can cause disc degeneration when in that position for a very long period of time. Up here you see you've got a normal disc, and then you've got a disc that slightly begins to degenerate. It looks like it's getting crushed a little bit. Looks like maybe getting shorter over here and staying the same size over here. But anyway, what happens is these discs naturally are the same exact distance from here to here as they are from here to here. So when we slouch forward, what that does is that crushes part of the disc. Like in this one over here, when this person obviously has a little bit of degeneration going on here. This bulging disc here, you can see how it's compressed on this side of the spine, and over this side of the spine, it's not as compressed. This one's really bad over here. This disc has got a lot of crushing going on, compression going on over here. Well, all the way throughout, but over here, obviously some big issues. And this is just a completely thinning disc. So this is what could happen over long periods of time. This isn't something that happens like during a car accident or something like that. I actually was in a fender bender years ago. Wasn't anything serious, but I did get hit pretty hard, rear-ended, and I went to a chiropractor for it, and the x-ray showed that I had disc degeneration. I think it was stage 1. But he said that it wasn't from the car accident. He said one-time traumas don't cause disc degeneration. That's from sitting for a long period of time, or not having good posture for a long period of time. In my case, sitting at a computer. So anyway, disc degeneration is what occurs when we hold ourselves in incorrect positions for long periods of time. Let's take a quick look at this diagram here. So the picture on the left, wrong sitting postures, a lot of stuff going wrong here. First, looking down at an angle to see the top of his monitor screen. He's got that kyphosis going on here, slouching forward, rounded shoulders, not taking advantage of his back support. So you can see there's no lumbar curve whatsoever here. His elbows are a little bit too low here because you can see his forearms are going up at an angle in order to put his hands on the keyboard. That's not good. What that does is that's going to overuse the bicep muscle in order to lift those hands up. And when the bicep muscle gets overused, we don't know that it's being overused. So we start to feel pain either in the shoulder tendons where those bicep muscles connect to the shoulder bones, or in the elbow. A lot of people call it tennis elbow or whatever you want to call it. It is very often caused by lifting our forearms up at an angle like that. So there's an easy fix to that, and I'll talk about that in a minute. So it looks like his chair is too high because his legs are going at a downward angle like that. And another issue is his feet are not even. He's got this one leg is almost under his body, so that causes him to contract his hamstring. Contracting your hamstring like that is one thing, but contracting it for 8 hours a day, 40 hours a week is another. It could be a major problem. And over time, I sat like this for years, except I had both feet pulled under my body, and my heels weren't even on the floor. I had my toes on the floor, my heels were up in the air. Man, it was a major problem, and I didn't realize what was going on until years later, and it took a lot of work to fix. So let's move on to the second picture, talk about what this guy's doing right. The picture in the middle. He's got his eye level even with the top of the monitor screen, which is awesome. He's got his elbows higher. So it looks like he raised his chair just a little bit, even though his chair was too high over here. I take that back because he raised his chair over here and he takes advantage of a footrest over here. So when he raises his chair, that's going to bring his feet off the ground on the picture of the left. So in that case, he has to get that elbow above that desk level so his forearms can be parallel to the floor. So that'll reduce all that overuse on that bicep. If that's the case, if you got to raise your chair to get your elbow higher, then a footrest would be a great solution. So what else is going on right here? You can't really see the lumbar curve, but he is taking advantage of the back support. So it's probably got the lumbar curve going on in there. And his feet aren't necessarily flat on the floor, but they are flat on a footrest. And one thing I want to mention about this standing position, we haven't talked much about standing in this video, but I want to talk about 3 things that are always the same, regardless if we're sitting at a computer for long periods of time or standing at a computer. There's 3 variables that I always follow. The eye level is even with the top of the monitor screen here in the middle picture. Look over at the picture on the right where he's standing, same thing. Eye level is even with the top of the monitor. Over here, elbow slightly above the desk, so his forearms are parallel to use the keyboard. Same thing over here, elbow slightly above the desk, so his forearms are parallel to use the keyboard. And over here, like we just talked about in the middle picture, he's got his feet flat on a footrest or the floor. And this picture over here, he's got his feet flat on the floor. And you can see he's got that lumbar curve going on, that thoracic spine's got just a little bit of curve there. And that's a great example of how to stand correctly at a computer. So that's it for today's video, computer posture, mistakes and fixes. I want to thank you guys for joining me. If you've made it this far, congratulations. You're taking a big step forward in improving the quality of your life, and that's definitely something to be proud of. The best way to keep up with my future content is to sign up for free email updates. I have a newsletter called Computer Posture Weekly. I just send out 1 email a week on Fridays. I don't spam. I don't sell email addresses. is. If you want to unsubscribe at any time, you just click a button or two at the bottom of any of my emails. No hard feelings. So anyway, what I include in my newsletter every week is one link to the article that I wrote for my website that week, as well as 2 links to the YouTube videos that I put on my YouTube channel that week. So if you want to sign up for that, I'll put the link in the description for this video. You can also go to sittingposture.com/newsletter. I should probably make a smaller link for that. I'll try to get that done. But right now, sittingposture.com/newsletter can get you there. And if you like this video, do me a favor and help out the YouTube algorithm and hit the like button or subscribe to my channel if you want to see these videos in your feed more often. I appreciate you guys and all the support. The more people that see my videos, the more ability it gives me to create content in the future. So that's it for today. This is Todd from sittingposture.com. I'll see you guys on the next video. Take care.